Hey muchachos, it's Ice King 2020 coming to you with a new review today, but I have something special planned for today because, well, it's my birthday!
Yay!
So, I've decided to make an extra special review for today. What's so special about it? Nothing! Except that it came out on my birthday! I've been talking about No More Heroes a lot lately in the past few videos. I figured I should talk about other games made by Suda51. This is why today I will be taking a look at the first game from his studio, Killer 7. I don't think I could talk about the history of Killer 7 first, until I discuss the man behind the game, as well as a bunch of other games that I haven't got into yet, but have heard great things about and would like to try at some point. Suda51! Goichi Suda, his real name, started out working a bunch of entry-level jobs, struggling to make ends meet in his 20s. But he got his big break when he landed a job at Human Entertainment. He was best known for making such games as Super Fire Pro Wrestling, a game where you play as a wrestler who strives to be the best in the world, until it's revealed you were just doing it to stave off your urge to kill yourself. And then you do it. He soon left that job to start his own company, Grasshopper Manufacturers, where he would then go on to make a lot of really successful games, even though nobody I know has ever heard of them. But that's a minor detail. The first of those games is Killer 7, the literal definition of a unique game, as there are many things in this game that I would never see in other games, at least at the time. From the gameplay, to the art style, to the weird story. It's all there. It's what makes the game great, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's finish my segment before we start talking about another segment. Originally released for the Nintendo Cube game, oh wait, I said that wrong. Published by Capcom as part of the Capcom 5, a deal that Capcom made with Nintendo that would put 5 games on the GameCube. These games were Beautiful Joe, Resident Evil 4, PN03, Dead Phoenix, and of course, Resident Evil Killer 7. This deal didn't last long, unfortunately, because Capcom wanted their games to sell. Beautiful Joe, Resident Evil 4, and Killer 7 all got ported to the PS2, where they did much better, even though technical and graphic-wise, the GameCube versions were always the better ones. I could be wrong on this, but I think the Killer 7 port was the worst of the 3 ports. As for the other 2 games, PN03 faded into obscurity, and Dead Phoenix was never finished, so that's unfortunate. But I'm not here to talk about those games. I'll save those for other videos. We're here to talk about Killer 7, remember? Released on November 15th, 2018, another company, Engine Software, ported it to Steam, which is the one that I'll be looking at today, because it was the easiest one to obtain. The GameCube and PS2 versions go for like $70 on eBay, and I can get the Steam version for like $20. Also, it was a holiday gift, so I didn't have to pay it anyways. I don't even really know how I can summarize this story. It takes so many turns, and stuff happens, and it's never really spelled out what happened, and there's a lot of political undertones, but I'll see what I can do. The world is at peace. Every country has agreed to give up nukes and artillery and no longer have wars. Everyone lived in total harmony, but then everything changed when the Heaven Smile attacked. Only the Killer 7, an elite team of assassins hired by the American government, can stop them. But when the world needed them most, they stayed right there and helped. Also, the world still needs them, because the Heaven Smile are still at large. The leader of the Heaven Smile is Kun Lan, who keeps recruiting and manipulating heads of power to carry out his evil deeds. But in addition to that, there's also Kenjiro Matsuoka. I pronounced that wrong, possibly. But anyways, he strives to obtain ultimate power through the power of the Yakuma. That's important to the main plot, but I don't know how, and I should probably just stop there. You already have the basis for the plot. You play as the Killer 7, and you have to go out and kill the Heaven Smile. I don't feel like I should say anymore because it might feel like spoilers, and I don't want to explain this already hard to explain plot anymore than I need to, in case you want to go out and play it yourself. I say the plot of this game is confusing, but it's not like other games I reviewed or are going to, where the plot is also confusing, but It's confusing because it takes a backseat to the gameplay, which is the main focus. But that's not the case with this game. The story is pretty much the most you're going to get out of this game, and I found it to be really weird and confusing, but it's supposed to be that way, and you're supposed to pick apart every part that happens in the story and overanalyze everything. Kinda reminds me of Akira, the plot that seemed weird and hard to follow at first, but you gotta watch it multiple times, and then maybe you can start to understand it, but even then, I'm still like, I don't get it, and I'm all like, aside from that, the plot is good despite being weird. Okay now, onto the art style, the thing you'll probably notice the most about this game, and I'll just say, I love the art style. The cool 3D characters that also look 2D because of the thick outlines, it kind of reminds me of a comic book. I'm not sure if this art style has a name, but it's always intrigued me. I feel like I've seen it in other games. But the art style is just one of the few things I've noticed about the game. The other thing I've noticed is the sound effects, more so the weird speech patterns of all the ghosts you encounter in this game. You will encounter many ghosts on your assignments, but we'll get back to that in the gameplay section, but the thing I noticed most about them is when they talk, they have this weird sound effects when they talk. Here, listen to some of them. It always looks like they're talking through a transceiver. But not only that, when you look at the captions displaying what they are actually saying, it always sounds like they're talking in these weird poems that don't seem to be relevant to what you are currently doing. Of course, you can't forget about the Heaven Smile and all their memorable laughs. These are the main enemies of this game, and the one sound they love to make are their weird creepy laughs, like these ones. It always strikes fear into everyone who hears the laughter. I could spend at least another few minutes talking about the art style and sound effects and how it differs from other games. But I think the thing that makes this game stand out the most, which, let me remind you, there are a lot of things that make this game stand out from other games, but nothing stands out more than the gameplay. I have never seen a game that plays much like this one before. First off, I don't even know what genre to classify this game as. It's like a shooter, but you're on a rail, but you're still in control of the character, so it's like a rail shooter you're always in control of, not where you go and how you get there, but when you get there. The character is on a set path, but when you hold down a button, you enter first person mode and shoot down the enemies with your gun. We'll get back to that in a minute, but first, the person or persons, plural, you play as. Remember when I said that the Killer 7 are a team of assassins hired by the American government to take down the Heaven Smile? Well, I was wrong about that. You play as Garcia Smith, a person who might have multiple personality disorder, because he can turn into the other 6 assassins of the Smith Syndicate. Smith is the name of their company. None of the people in it are related, but everyone has to be called Smith for some reason. Whatever the reason is, you play as Garcia Smith and you can turn into the other 6 Smiths. And you will have to be constantly switching back and forth to the other Smiths in order to take advantage of the unique abilities. And one good thing about the Steam version is that if you're playing with the keyboard, each Smith has been mapped to one of the number buttons. Now I should probably tell you about the Smiths. Each one is as follows. First, there's Dan. He's got a revolver, and if you have enough blood vials, you can charge up his attack to make it stronger. From what I've seen, Dan doesn't seem to have anything unique about him, but he gets the most focus out of the 6 Smiths, so I felt it necessary to mention. Next, there's Katie, the only girl on the team. Her gun has a scope on it, so she can zoom in on enemies, but not only that, she can bleed on things if needed to solve some of the many puzzles in this game. After her, there's Kevin, the cool silent guy who wears sunglasses and no shirt. He fights by using knives, and is the only character who doesn't need to reload his gun, since it's not a gun. His unique ability is that he can make himself go invisible in order to sneak past security lasers. Then we have Coyote. He's this cocky asshole who also uses a revolver. But not only that, he can jump when the game demands it. I'm failing to see what makes him different from Dan, other than the fact that he can jump. But you know what they say, you might as well jump. If you get bored of all the other Smiths, you can always choose Khan, the youngest member of the Smith Syndicate at age 14. All the other members are in either their 20s or 30s. Whatever, Khan's my favorite, if only because of his punk attitude, but also his whole thing is that he's the fastest, which is great if you're doing a lot of backtracking, which you are. Also, since he's the shortest, he can go through these small doorways, which are all over the game for some reason. I don't know why these are there, it just seems awkward. Khan is the only one that can go through them, so it just seems like, why have them in the first place? Khan's weapon of choice is these dual-wield handguns that he shoots really fast and can also reload really fast by doing this weird kicking thing with his feet. Last but not least, there's Mask D. He's this luchador who became an assassin. His weapon of choice is these dual-wield guns that he just shoots this one huge round. Needs to be reloaded after every shot, but that one shot is huge, and it can even create huge holes in the walls if you shoot them at cracks in the wall. Being a wrestler means he can lift heavy objects, which you'll often do from time to time. And those are the 6 characters you'll be playing as. But then there's also Garcia, who, despite being the main character of the game, you don't play as him that much. His main gimmick is that when one of the other 6 dies, if you return to the spot where Smith died with Garcia, he'll pick up the corpse and then bring it back to life with his magic TV. Ooh, I just mentioned the TV, but wait, I'm not done discussing the Smiths. There is an 8th member, but you rarely ever get to play as him. You can't even choose to play as him in either the menu or on the TV. His name is Herman. He is the leader of the Smith Syndicate and spends most of his time in the shadows. He's in a wheelchair, so he's the slowest, but he's also got a bazooka that he takes forever to set up, as like I said, you don't play as him that much. Okay, so when fighting the Heaven Smile, they are the main enemy, as I have mentioned multiple times in this video. You will be fighting them all the time. They just walk up to you, and when they get to you, they explode, which you don't want that to happen, so you gotta shoot them down before they can do that. There are many different types of Heaven Smiles, and each one is unique in its own way, and by that I mean requires a different strategy to beat them. I won't bother explaining all the Heaven Smiles, but I will explain the most common one, literally just called the Heaven Smile. Okay, so when you first enter first person mode, you gotta do this scan thing in order to see the Heaven Smiles to begin with. But when you do, they will usually have this glowing spot, and if you shoot them in the spot, they will burst into blood, and then you can absorb that blood and add it to your vials, and the blood can also be used to make serum. Okay, so on that TV that I mentioned, you do most of everything on it, from saving to loading your file, to selecting a character and increasing their stats. When you get enough blood, take it to the TV, and there's this one channel with a machine that can turn the blood into serum. You use that serum to increase your stats. In a sort of way to prevent grinding, I guess. The machine can only make so much serum, and then it will shut down, and you are prevented from making any more serum for the rest of the level. Okay, so after all that, another thing I wanted to talk about are all the ghosts that you come across in your travels. They usually try to help you when not saying weird cryptic shit. There's Iwa-Zua. In the first mission, he explains the ropes of the game and how everything works. You know, before he starts speaking nonsense the rest of the game. Then, there's Travis. No, not that Travis. This Travis follows you around and tells you interesting stuff that happened regarding the target. It's not really helpful, but it's interesting as long as you can decipher his weird talking. Then, there's Susie. She's just a head that gives you different rings to solve puzzles, but she also likes to tell you stories about her horrific childhood. Then there's Yuhan, who gives you hints on what you are supposed to do next, but if you can't figure it out, shoot his mask, and then he becomes True Mask. He'll tell you exactly what it is you need to do, at the cost of some of the blood that you absorbed. He also insults you for being stupid. Finally, there's Kes Bloody Sunday. He is a little boy who gives you hints on how to defeat bosses. There are more ghosts, but most of them are just ghosts of previous bosses you killed, so I don't want to spoil any of that. Woo! That sure took a while for me to record and then edit. For you guys, it was probably only just a few minutes to watch. But now, it's time to wrap things up. This game is weird, no doubt about that. From the weird story, to the weird sound effects and imagery, to the weird gameplay, but just because the game is weird doesn't mean it's bad. This game is amazing. I don't really know anything more to say about it. This game might be difficult to some people to get into, with its not easy to follow story and you might be thrown off, but you should give it a chance. If you like Suda51's games and you want to know where it all started, you can go and get yourself a copy on Steam for only $20. Unless you feel like going and getting the GameCube or PS2 version for $70. Ugh. But that's all the time we have for today. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like the video, and then leave a comment telling me what you thought. And then go ahead and subscribe. And while you're at it, click that bell to let you know when I make a new video. And don't forget to wish me a happy birthday!